My name is Rachel Donovan, and I was 39 years old when my ex-husband's mother called me the bitter ex in front of everyone at my son Ethan's high school graduation, while her son was still using my name to hold up a business loan I had supposedly been released from 3 years earlier. I was standing near the photo area outside the auditorium in Denver, holding Ethan's graduation program in one hand and the tiny blue and gold tassel from his kindergarten ceremony in the other, because I had carried it in my purse that morning, like a private reminder of every milestone I had protected through divorce, missed reimbursements, custody schedule fights, and family insults dressed up as concern. Ethan was smiling with his friends in his cap and gown. His father, Adam, was posing like the proud dad of the year. Adam's new wife, Natalie, stood beside him, polished and nervous, still new enough to the Donovan family to believe their version of me. Then Rachel Donovan, my former mother-in-law, looked at me in front of cousins, grandparents, and other parents waiting for photos and said, "Rachel, don't ruin Ethan's day. Everyone knows you're just the bitter ex who can't stand seeing Adam happy." A few people looked away. Adam gave me that warning smile he used during our marriage, the one that meant, "Don't make a scene." Carol moved closer and added, "You had your chance to be family. Now stand aside." Before I tell you how Adam's new wife found my name buried in their HVAC business loan file, tell me this. What time is it where you are right now, and where are you watching from? I want to know how far this story travels before I tell you what happens when a family calls you bitter at graduation, uses your child's peace as a shield, and then panics when the bank asks why your name is still attached to a debt you never agreed to carry. Because that graduation insult was not the beginning. It was only the first time Carol said in public what the Donovan family had been using in private for years. I met Adam Donovan when I was 26, when he was all charm, big plans, and soft apologies before he had even done anything wrong. He came from a family that treated confidence like proof of character. His mother Carol spoke about him like he had personally invented fatherhood before he had ever changed a diaper. His brother Brent worked with him in Donovan Heating and Air, the family HVAC business started by their father, and both brothers believed business debt was just ambition waiting for someone responsible to clean up the numbers. I was a credit risk analyst, which meant I spent my days looking at loan files, repayment patterns, guarantor exposure, debt ratios, and the quiet signs that people were telling a better story than their documents could support. Adam liked that about me when we were dating. He said I was sharp. He said I made him feel safe. Later, after the wedding, safe started to mean available. My clean credit helped us buy our first home. My spreadsheets helped his business survive a bad equipment purchase. My caution helped him look stable to lenders. And every time I asked whether my name was exposed anywhere it should not be, Adam would kiss my forehead and say, "You worry too much, Rach." Carol loved that line. She loved any sentence that made my caution sound like a personality flaw instead of self-protection. During our marriage, I learned that the Donovan family had two categories for women: useful or difficult. If I helped Adam refinance debt, I was a good wife. If I asked for repayment plans, I was controlling. If I covered Ethan's school costs when Adam was short, I was a devoted mother. If I asked Adam to follow the divorce decree and reimburse his share, I was bitter. Carol was the family historian, which meant she rewrote every event until Adam was the hero, Brent was loyal, and I was either anxious, cold, or impossible. When Ethan was young, I tried hard not to let him see it. I grew up with divorced parents who used money like a weapon and silence like a punishment, and I swore I would never make my own son feel like a transaction. That promise became the pressure point Adam used after our marriage ended. "Do it for Ethan," he would say when he needed me to wait on reimbursement. "Keep things peaceful for Ethan," Carol would say when I asked why Adam was late on medical copays. "Don't make Ethan's milestones about money," Brent would say, usually right before a business deadline that somehow required me to be quiet. The divorce was not dramatic in the public sense. No screaming in driveways, no police calls, no one big betrayal the family could understand. It was smaller and colder than that. Years of Adam making promises, missing them, apologizing, and letting me carry the structure while he carried the charm. The final year, I found out he had used joint funds meant for Ethan's tutoring and medical expenses to help Brent cover a business cash flow problem. When I confronted him, he said he was keeping the family business stable for Ethan's future. That was the first time I understood how easily men like Adam use children as emotional collateral. My divorce attorney, Dana Whitaker, saw him clearly from the first consultation. Dana was precise, blunt, and calm in the way women become after spending years watching charming men hide behind tired wives. She told me, "A clean break is not cruel. It is how you stop old hands from reaching into your future." My father, Martin Lee, said almost the same thing in a note he gave me after my divorce hearing. He had made his own mistakes in my childhood, and maybe that was why his warning landed so deeply. The note said, "Protecting your future is not an attack on your son's peace." I kept that note in my divorce file beside Ethan's kindergarten tassel. That tassel mattered because kindergarten graduation was the first milestone after Adam and I separated. Ethan had walked across the tiny stage in a paper crown, missing one front tooth, waving at both of us like his whole world was still intact, because I had worked so hard to make sure it felt that way. I kept the tassel afterward as a promise to myself that Ethan's milestones would not become battlefields. Adam learned that promise and used it. At 32, during the divorce, I agreed to delay enforcing several reimbursements because Adam said the HVAC business was unstable and he needed to get through this season for Ethan. I did not forgive the debt. I documented it, but I waited. I let him split payments late. I let him miss school trip deadlines and paid them myself. I covered dental copays, summer registration fees, college application costs, senior year expenses, graduation package fees, and the quiet little things fathers get praised for attending, but mothers often pay for in advance. Adam showed up for photos. I showed up for invoices. Carol made sure everyone saw his photos. She made sure nobody saw my invoices. By the time Adam remarried Natalie, I had become the villain in a story she inherited without reading the documents. Natalie was not cruel at first. She was cautious. I could tell she had been told I was difficult. She watched me the way new wives watch old wives when the old wife has been described as unstable but keeps showing up on time with organized folders and calm emails. I did not blame her completely. Adam was good at appearing wounded. Carol was excellent at appearing protective. Brent was useful as backup, always saying things like, "Rachel likes control," or "Adam tried so hard to co-parent." I kept my distance because Ethan liked Natalie, and I refused to make him manage adult insecurity. That was my mistake and my strength at the same time. I stayed civil so long that people mistook it for weakness. Graduation season made everything sharper. Ethan was 18, headed to a state university with an engineering scholarship and a summer orientation I had already paid the deposit for, while Adam promised to send his half Friday. Friday came and went. So did the next 2 Fridays. I did not chase him during finals because I did not want Ethan absorbing that tension. Carol planned a big graduation party at her house and kept calling it Adam's proudest day. I paid for Ethan's cap and gown, senior photos, college application fees, medical clearance forms, and half the laptop he needed because Adam said the HVAC business had a big renewal closing soon and cash was tight. That should have been the clue. Cash was always tight right before something was due, but somehow never tight enough to stop Carol from ordering custom banners that said, "Donovan Pride." The graduation ceremony itself was beautiful. Ethan walked across the stage, tall and smiling, and for a few minutes, every old wound fell quiet because my son had made it. After the ceremony, we gathered outside for photos. Natalie stood slightly apart from Adam, polite, holding a gift bag for Ethan. I was trying to make the moment easy. Then Carol decided I had taken too long near the family photo area. "Rachel, stand aside," she said. "This is Adam's new family now." I felt the words before I fully heard them. Ethan's face changed. Adam muttered, "Mom, not now." But he did not correct the sentence. Then Carol called me the bitter ex, and the old training rose in me. Smile, don't react, don't ruin Ethan's day. I stepped aside, not because Carol was right, because Ethan was watching. I let Natalie step into the picture. I stood behind the photographer, holding the kindergarten tassel so tightly the edge pressed into my palm. That night, after Ethan went out with friends, I went home and added Adam's missed reimbursements to my spreadsheet. It was a habit by then. Dates, amounts, notes. I was tired, but not surprised. Then 2 days later, Natalie messaged me. Not Adam, not Carol, Natalie. Her text said, "Rachel, I know this is awkward, but did you recently agree to stay on a business loan guarantee for Donovan Heating and Air?" I stared at the screen for a long time. My first thought was that she misunderstood something. My second thought was colder. I called her. She sounded nervous and embarrassed. She told me she had been organizing loan documents for Adam because the HVAC business was renewing a credit line for new equipment. She had opened a folder Brent left on their kitchen counter and found my name listed as a personal guarantor in the renewal packet. She said Adam told her it was old paperwork and that I had agreed because we still cooperate for Ethan. Natalie paused, then said quietly, "That didn't sound like you." That sentence changed everything. She had been told I was bitter, but the paperwork made her question the story. I asked her to send what she had. She hesitated, then did. Business loan renewal packet, guarantor page, my name, my old marital address, a signature block that did not include a fresh signature, but referenced prior guarantee continuity, old joint tax records attached as supporting history, a lender note implying the guarantor had remained cooperative after divorce. My throat went dry. My divorce decree had addressed business obligations. Adam was supposed to remove me from any personal guarantees tied to Donovan Heating and Air. Dana had pushed hard on that. I pulled the decree from my file, the one beside the kindergarten tassel and my father's note. There it was. Release and refinance obligation. Adam had been required to make commercially reasonable efforts to remove my name from business debt and indemnify me from any post-divorce obligation. He had not done it. Worse, the renewal packet implied I still supported the guarantee. I did not call Adam first. I audited. Divorce decree, credit report, business loan guarantee, old marital tax records, lender emails, graduation video from Carol's insult, child support payment records, missed reimbursement texts, Natalie's forwarded loan folder, bank call logs, business renewal deadline. I checked my credit. There was a business credit inquiry tied to Donovan Heating and Air. I froze my credit that afternoon. Then I called Dana. She listened without interrupting and said, "Do not sign anything. Do not discuss this without me copied. Send the decree to the lender. Demand guarantor verification." I asked if this could be an old paperwork mistake. Dana said, "Old paperwork mistakes don't usually come with new renewal deadlines." That line stayed with me. I sent a formal dispute to the lender with the divorce decree, statement of non-consent, demand for removal, and request for copies of all documents representing my guarantor status. I notified Adam in writing that I disputed any continuing guarantee and would not sign retroactive consent. I asked for reimbursement of outstanding child expenses again, this time attaching the ledger. One email, one boundary, one kindergarten tassel beside the first document Adam could not charm his way around. At 10:41 p.m., Adam called. He did not say hello. What did you tell the lender? His voice was tight, stripped of the gentle co-parent tone he used when he wanted something. I put him on speaker because Dana had told me to preserve conversations, and Natalie had already warned me he was panicking. I told them the truth. Silence. Then Adam said, "Rachel, this renewal has to close in 72 hours. Not with my name on it. It's an old guarantee. Nobody is trying to hurt you." Then remove me. Brent grabbed the phone. "You're blowing up the business over paperwork." "My credit is not paperwork." Carol's voice came on next, sharp and familiar. "Do not do this during Ethan's graduation week. Haven't you taken enough from this family?" That one almost made me laugh. "You called me bitter in front of him while your son still had my name on his loan." Adam snapped. "It was supposed to close before you and Natalie compared documents." The line went silent. He heard himself. I looked at the tassel in my hand and wrote the sentence down. Supposed to close before. That was not old paperwork. That was timing. Adam started backtracking. "I mean, before this got misunderstood." I said, "Thank you. Dana will appreciate that." Then I hung up. The smear campaign began by morning. Carol posted that some people choose money over a child's peace. Brent told relatives I was trying to destroy Adam's business because I could not accept his new marriage. Adam texted that Ethan would be devastated if his father's company collapsed after graduation. There it was again. Ethan as shield. Ethan as muzzle. Ethan as the reason I was supposed to let old hands reach into my future. I called Ethan before they could feed him their version. I kept it simple because children, even grown ones, should not carry every adult document. I told him there was a financial matter from the divorce that needed correction and that it was not his fault, not his responsibility, and not connected to my pride in him. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Is Dad doing the thing where he says it's for me?" I closed my eyes. Yes. Ethan sighed. "I hate that thing." That sentence broke my heart and steadied it at the same time. He already knew the pattern. I had spent years trying to keep him from seeing it, and still children see what families repeat. The private truth room happened at my kitchen table the next evening because Natalie asked to meet before the lender appointment. She came alone first, holding the folder like it had burned her. "I owe you an apology," she said before she even sat down. "For what?" I asked. "For believing them too easily." I did not say it was fine. It was not fine. But I told her I appreciated the message. Dana joined by speakerphone. Adam arrived 20 minutes later, furious in a quiet suit. Carol came with him, even though no one invited her, and Brent joined by video call from the HVAC office. On my table were the divorce decree, credit report, lender packet, Natalie's screenshots, Ethan's reimbursement ledger, the graduation video, and the kindergarten tassel. Adam looked at the tassel and said, "Really, Rachel?" I said, "Yes, really. Because you keep hiding behind our son's milestones while using my credit." Carol sat down and immediately said, "This is exactly what I meant at graduation. Bitter." I played the graduation clip Natalie had sent me from her phone, the one where Carol's voice was clear. "Everyone knows you're just the bitter ex." Then I placed the loan guarantee beside it. "You called me bitter while your family was still using my name." Natalie looked down. Adam rubbed his forehead. Brent said through the laptop, "It was a legacy guarantee." Dana's voice cut through the speaker. A post-divorce renewal relying on disputed guarantor status is not a legacy. It is exposure. Carol rolled her eyes. Lawyers make everything ugly. I said, no, hidden loans do. Adam tried the old soft tone. Rachel, you know the business matters to Ethan. No, I said. You taught Ethan the business matters whenever you owe money. Natalie looked at him then, really looked at him, and I could see the first crack in the version of marriage she had been sold. She said, You told me Rachel agreed. Adam said, I said she wouldn't block it. That is not agreement, Natalie answered. That was the first moment she became more than a witness. She became a person choosing the record over the story. I laid out my terms. Remove me from all business loan documents. Provide written confirmation from the lender. Reimburse disputed child expenses. Correct Natalie's understanding of the loan. Stop calling me bitter in family channels. Adam said the renewal could collapse. I said, then refinance honestly. Brent said the equipment deposit was due in 5 days. I said, not my emergency. Carol said, Ethan should not see his father humiliated. I picked up my father's note and read it aloud. A clean break is not cruel. It is how you stop old hands from reaching into your future. Then I looked at Adam. My divorce ended the marriage. It did not leave my credit as family property. The lender compliance meeting happened 2 days later in a bank conference room with glass walls and a table that made everyone sit close enough to feel the discomfort. Present were me, Adam, Natalie, Brent, Carol, Dana, the bank loan officer, and the business accountant. Natalie came because she refused to co-sign anything until the old guarantee was reviewed. That was the part Adam had not expected. He had assumed the old wife would be pressured by guilt and the new wife would be managed by charm. Instead, both women were sitting at the same table with documents. The loan officer opened by confirming that the renewal had been paused after my guarantor dispute. Adam immediately said, "This is a misunderstanding caused by old divorce tension." Dana slid the divorce decree forward. The decree required removal from business obligations and indemnification. The loan officer looked at Adam. Was Ms. Donovan contacted for renewed consent? Adam hesitated. Brent said, "The guarantee was already in the file." The loan officer repeated, "Was she contacted for renewed consent?" No one answered. I placed my credit report beside the renewal packet. I did not consent to new reliance on my credit. Carol tried to jump in. Rachel has always been difficult about Adam rebuilding. Natalie surprised everyone by speaking next. I was told Rachel had agreed to remain connected for Ethan's sake. That was not true. The room changed. Carol stared at her like betrayal had just learned a new name. Adam whispered, "Nat." She did not look at him. Dana then placed the reimbursement ledger on the table, not because child expenses determine the loan, but because it showed the pattern of using co-parenting language to delay financial accountability. Senior fees, medical co-pays, college applications, orientation deposit, laptop balance, dates promised, dates missed. Adam said, "That has nothing to do with the business." I answered, "It has everything to do with the way you say Ethan whenever money needs to move away from you and toward me." The face-slap-proof moment came when Carol muttered again that I was just bitter because Natalie stood in the graduation photo. I placed the graduation video still beside the loan guarantee. "You called me bitter at graduation," I said, then panicked when the bank asked why my name was still on your loan. The loan officer reviewed the documents and said the bank would require Adam and Brent to refinance or renew without me, provide current guarantor support from actual consenting parties, and correct any file language implying my ongoing support. Natalie refused to sign anything until Adam gave her full financial disclosure. The accountant looked miserable because he clearly understood this was not the first time the Donovan business had survived on blurred lines. The equipment purchase stalled that day. The renewal deadline passed without my name. My credit file was corrected and the dispute noted. Adam and Brent had to restructure the loan on weaker terms because the clean credit profile they had quietly relied on was gone. Carol's family narrative cracked because Natalie, the new wife, had become the witness she could not dismiss as easily as me. Ethan's graduation party still happened, but the new family, new chapter photo Adam planned to post never appeared. He posted one photo of Ethan alone in his cap and gown. That was the first honest thing he had done all week. The fallout was quieter than people expect when revenge is legal instead of theatrical. Adam did not lose everything overnight. Brent did not shut the doors the next morning. Carol did not apologize. But the business had to face the actual cost of standing without my credit. Natalie demanded account access, loan transparency, and copies of every major business obligation tied to their household. Adam called me later and said I had made his new wife distrust him. I said, "No. I warned her what you were still doing to the old one." He had no answer. Carol left me one voicemail saying I had poisoned Ethan's graduation memory. I saved it, then blocked her for 30 days. Dana said blocking people was not legally required, but personally overdue. She was right. The conversation with Ethan came a week later, after the noise died down. We went for coffee near campus orientation. He looked older than 18 that day, which made me both proud and sad. He said Natalie had apologized to him for the tension. He said Adam was embarrassed. Then he asked, "Did you keep paying stuff because of me?" I answered carefully, "I kept some peace because I thought it protected you." He looked at his cup and said, "Sometimes it just made Dad think he could keep doing it." That sentence hurt because it was true. I told him I was sorry for any part of the silence that taught him the wrong lesson. He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I know you were trying," he said. I pulled the kindergarten tassel from my purse and showed it to him. He laughed, embarrassed and touched. "You still have that?" "Always," I said. "It reminded me not to turn your life into a fight." He looked at it for a moment, then said, "Maybe it can remind you not to let them use me either." That became the line I carried forward. Natalie and I never became friends in the simple way people online like stories to end. But we became honest. She sent me the final lender correction when it arrived. I sent her a short thank you. Months later, she messaged me asking for Dana's name for a postnuptial financial disclosure review. I gave it to her. I did not ask questions. Some women have to walk through the same family hallway you did before they understand where the floor drops. I was not jealous of the new wife. I was relieved when she turned on the lights. Dana helped me turn the experience into something useful. At first, I did not want to be the divorced woman giving workshops about old guarantees. Dana said, "Then don't teach pain, teach paperwork." So we created the Tassel Credit Boundary Guide with a divorced women financial nonprofit. We taught women how to check credit reports after divorce, remove old guarantees, enforce decrees, monitor business loans, freeze credit, document child expense reimbursements, separate co-parent peace from financial exposure, and recognize when an ex-family uses children as language to keep access to an old wife's stability. The first line of the guide was my father's. "A clean break is not cruel. It is how you stop old hands from reaching into your future." The second was mine. My divorce ended the marriage. It did not leave my credit as family property. At the first workshop, I placed Ethan's kindergarten tassel on the table. A woman in the front row started crying before I finished the first page. Her ex-husband had used her name on a truck lease after divorce. Another woman discovered she was still guarantor on a restaurant loan because she had been too exhausted during custody hearings to chase the release. A third had been told she was hurting her children by asking for reimbursement while her ex bought new equipment for his business. We gave them scripts. "Do not use my child's peace to hide your paperwork. Send the lender confirmation. The decree is not a suggestion. My credit is not part of your second chance. simple sentences, hard sentences. Sentences that sound cold only to people who benefited from confusion. I still keep the kindergarten tassel in my desk drawer beside my corrected credit report and the lender release letter. Sometimes before a workshop, I take it out and remember Ethan's tiny graduation crown, then his high school cap, Carol's voice near the photo area, Adam's warning smile, Natalie's nervous message, and the bank table where the new wife and old wife both refused to carry a lie for him. A family that calls you bitter for protecting your credit does not want peace. It wants your name, your silence, and your old marriage without accountability. I was not jealous of Natalie standing in the graduation photo. I was protecting the financial future Adam forgot he no longer had access to. If your ex-family used your child's milestone to shame you while still keeping your name attached to their debt, would you stay quiet for peace? And if the little tassel that once reminded you to protect your son from conflict became the symbol that taught other women not to let peace become financial exposure, would you tuck it away and let them call you bitter? Or would you place it on the table and make every old guarantee answer for itself?